A lot of what I've seen about Marathon is people talking about whether it's good or bad. And then they provide a subjective opinion, which is what they mean is whether or not they like it. I'm going to try to talk about objective quality here and clarify when I mean I like something or dislike something, and that's my personal taste. So I'm going to try to do something a little bit different with like breaking it down about what I think stands out that shows that this is a well-made product or not. The transition into this menu is really good. Very intentionally stylistic. There's very bright contrast and pops of primary colors. The color choices are really good, especially like with the aesthetic they're going for. Admittedly, it's going to be divisive. Some people would be like, I don't fuck with this and I don't like it. That's fine. That's a subjective choice. The objective quality of it is high. Classic, good UX, really good for console players too. So let's turn crew fill off. So I think this is a really neat loading screen. I really like that shader they put in there. This is normal sprint. And then this is super sprint. And you can see my heat meter going up, right? So that's how that works. If the heat meter fully fills, I'm locked out of doing anything that uses heat for a little bit. I personally think this is a really good design that slows everything down, which is what you need in an extraction shooter. So we got some hydrocarbon rubbers. Excellent. Need those for Friday night. Okay, so if you look at this, they have every item tagged as well, which I really like. The top of it under the name, it says valuable. So what that tells you is if you exfil with this, you get money for it. You don't keep it for any other reason. I think this is fine. I've seen people criticize this and say that sucks. I disagree. I think it's way easier, more readable, more console player friendly. There is some very strange like shape language going on. It's definitely got a style. Nothing else looks like Marathon. Something else did, in fact, look like Marathon. And that is art created by graphic designer Anti-Real on Twitter. The video you're watching is edited down from a 2-hour-long live stream recorded during the Marathon closed alpha, and the event surrounding appropriation of Anti-Real's designs happened just a couple of days ago. Nothing else looks like Marathon. Good or bad? Who knows? One thing you need to understand is the UI UX experts that made the Destiny award-winning UI UX haven't been at Bungie for like 5 years. I don't know when the last time is that you played D2. It's not clean. It's not cohesive anymore. There's just so much junk everywhere. I have a hunch the microtransaction team's business people were like, nah, we need this new screen so that we can sell people fucking gigas. We try to make money. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. I don't know if that's true. But I can absolutely see that being the case, just having been there myself. Oh my god. That felt very much Tiger Engine to me. I just jumped off of that like weird rock and it made me jump backwards. We got shots here. So we try to get out now, chat. We got the kitty cat. Take some more plastic filaments. Okay, so now I have to wait for this thing for like 30 seconds. Gunfire nearby. It's still going off. Ooh. That's a player. Fuck you, dude. Enjoy this chem grenade. Solo no-fill rat. Very doable. If you want to get in fights, nope. Can't do that. Don't take fights unless you know you can win them, right? You got the jump on somebody and just... The game will not appeal to COD zoomers. It's not just being cracked because, like... You have to have tactics, too. This game is balanced around that. It does not really feel bullet spongy. I will say that some of the AI can be tough, especially the purple guys, but those are like important, you know, tertiary objectives. If you get rid of the purple guys, they stop summoning reinforcements, so you can kill the commander of an area and then just free loot that spot. Obviously, you're going to make a lot of noise doing it, and that will attract other players. They're going to want to kill you, try to take your loot and shit. Post-game Carnage Report doesn't exist. Why the fuck did Bungie do that? Why? They invented the post-game Carnage Report. I can't even tell how many AI I killed. I can't tell if I killed any runners. That's kind of crazy, honestly. I hate when players take like 10 bullets to the head and still don't die. It depends on the shields they have. It doesn't take that long, and that that rifle is not accurate at all. It's like that spray goes out in a cone. There's no spray pattern. So that might be frustrating for players who are more used to, kind of a more tactical shooter like Counter-Strike or whatever, where you can like anticipate where the bullets are going to go and really be like spot on. This is not that kind of game, unfortunately. But there are some really good guns that are very accurate that feel good. Do you think this game will have good player retention, or do you think many will buy and play it for a bit and then drop the game? So, Anime, we've talked about this a couple times off stream, and I think there's probably going to be very low that PC players are more likely to play. On console, I think console players are either going to buy this and be like, oh, I'm fucking with this and I'm going to play this game and this is my game now. Or they're going to be like, yeah, I'll kind of dabble in and out. As I played more of this, I realized a lot of that disconnect that I think players were reacting to and watching the live action trailer or like the CG trailer, whatever you want to call that, and all of the cinematic content that they made, and then they showed gameplay footage. There's a stark contrast between those. They don't match very well, and it's because the game has a very specific style. Let's look at the runners. So you've got 4 archetypes. People were calling this a hero shooter. I see why, but I think it's just a cosmetic relation to being a hero shooter. You could say that it's kind of like Apex. I personally think when you play the game and you feel it, it doesn't feel like Apex, but it absolutely looks like Apex. It feels very different. It feels a lot more like Bungie Halo, and what I mean is like Halo 3, Halo Reach, Destiny. It feels like that. It's a slower Destiny in terms of how movement and gunplay works. It feels very much like a Halo game. So I think that's a good thing. I like that. I always love Bungie shooters. I've always really enjoyed playing them. They have a very good game feel to them, and the game feel is all in the animations, how your character moves, the audio that goes with the gunshots. It's classic good Bungie design in that regard. I can relate to Void a little bit because he's very like fucking cyborg future goth man, and I feel that deep in my heart. I think he's just very sad and doesn't want to talk to anyone. That's the vibe I get from Void. Let's look at each of the kits. So Search and Destroy is your ulti, right? This is a thing you can use very infrequently, and it gives you more burst damage. So you're really trying to burn something down. I believe that this is probably better used in PvE because the AI in this, the PvE combatants are very strong. And I don't just mean they have laser aim and they're bullet sponges. They will flank you. They will throw grenades at you to flush you out of cover. They will fire suppressing shots at your last location. When they saw you last, they will just put bullets down range on you. So you can't peek the same angle twice on the AI, which is really fucking good. I think it's meant for really burning down groups of AI. Riot Barricade, this is similar to like Reinhardt. This is good because Locus is really good at getting into something. Oftentimes when you commit with Locus, you'll burn yourself out, so you can't use your cooldowns to get back out. So you need a Riot Barricade to just like pop up, hold a spot while you slowly back out into a good spot. The thruster, anytime you jump, you can hit jump again in the air, and you will the best analog I can give is like Titan shoulder charge from Destiny, and it's based on your WASD input. So if you're pressing backwards when you do it, you'll launch backwards. It's a very big boost. It uses a ton of your stamina meter. It's likely to burn you out when you use it. This is his sprint. You double tap sprint and you will run twice as fast. You can use this as much as you want. Same with the air thruster. This guy's about getting into a spot. He's really good at repositioning and moving to another spot, but being in the fight. That's kind of where he shines really well. He's more of like a brawler, gets in the spot. So let's go over to Glitch. Glitch is really good at mobility and getting into weird places. This character, I think, is most like an Apex Legends. Any character you can play in Apex, this character kind of feels that way. This is a thing that makes it so you can sprint, you can dash. Anything that uses your stamina meter does less stamina heat buildup, so you can use that more often. You can really do a lot of stuff and just be very chaotic and very hard to pin down. The way Glitch, I think, gets played effectively is when a fight starts off, Glitch is going to go get a really weird flank by double jumping on top of some shit and putting bullets at an angle that the enemy team does not expect. This is a powerful ability. It's kind of like a grenade. It just does a big blast. So she gets like an arm cannon that she can just like shoot a little projectile out that blows up. I haven't seen it used too effectively. It seems like it's probably not as good as some of the other tactical abilities, which I think is the F slot for other characters. So like, for instance, Locus is the shield, Glitch is this disruptor, Blackbird's is actually a grenade, which we'll get to in a second. But other than that, this is just double jump and then power slide. So anytime Glitch slides at a higher speed for a longer distance than any other runner does. So then we go to Blackbird. I think, so this is interesting to me. I've seen a lot of people talking about Blackbird and the design choice for Blackbird. People saying Blackbird is a must pick. Having wall hacks is so powerful. Everyone needs a Blackbird on the team. I strongly disagree. And having played all of the runners, I think Blackbird, while yes, Blackbird has that good kit, it really only applies to a team fight when you're fighting another group of runners. Otherwise, Blackbird's very weak. Blackbird doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot other than provide intel. So Blackbird needs to stay out of the fight most of the time, stay in the back, stay on flanks, not really engaging. Blackbird's more of like the support, if that makes sense. Obviously, Echo Pulse, that's like Bloodhound. It sends out a ping. It puts a little pip marker on anyone that gets hit by the ping, and that's last known location. So it doesn't hit them and then follow them. It's just that's where they were. So you know there might be a guy nearby. It also works on AI. Tracker drone, like I was saying, is a grenade. It's really good. You throw it out and it will pick a target that is nearby and then run up walls and shit and go find the thing. This is very powerful. This is Blackbird's most powerful ability, in my opinion, other than the wall hacks. When it hits somebody, especially a runner, it instantly throws them into overheat, which stops them from being able to use their kit. So they can't use sprint, they can't use slide. It effectively just takes one person out of the fight, applies a burn to them that they either need to cleanse or heal through. So it just pushes them out of the fight, unless they choose to stay engaged, and then they're at a severe disadvantage and they're likely to die. The other two are just intel, and they're very situational. So interrogation, the way this works is when you down someone, you can run over and hold down E to execute. When you execute, it shows the rest of your team the last known location of the remaining team members of the opponent. So that is useful, but only in that circumstance. And for what it's worth, I'm not seeing a lot of players actually run into the execute. What they do instead is they bullet spray the downed opponent to kill them and finish them off. It's not the correct play. Most of the time you want to go for the execute if you can. Everybody will trigger shield regeneration when you do an execute. It's powerful. It's a good mechanic that they put in there. And then Stalker Protocol. So this is footsteps, and this applies for the team. Blackbird gets a little bit of counter intel, but it doesn't tell you where. And it also works if someone pings you. So middle mouse ping, just like in Apex, you can do that in this game. So if anyone middle mouse pings you and you're Blackbird, you'll know. You'll know that you've been spotted. So that's useful. But again, like I said, it's all very circumstantial type of stuff, whereas like Glitch and Locus can use those movement abilities all the time. You can get to places that you normally can't get to as another runner. You can really quickly move on a flank. There's a lot of utility for these other guys. Blackbird is very specific to team fighting, I think. Void also sort of falls into that category. So what's cool about Void, and this is the ulti, it goes out on a line, you have these big smoke plumes, very disruptive and chaotic in a team fight. All depends on how a player uses it, whether or not it's useful or it's bad. Most of the time I see people using the smoke screen to block off the exfil so that people can't see you. They still know you're there because there's a bunch of smoke and there's a column of light around the exfil. Active camo, very powerful. If you are crouched with your knife out and moving with this, you are full invisible. If you are standing and moving, you're slightly more visible. If you're running, you kind of look like a ghost outline. So it is possible to see a Void if they're not using active camo correctly. This is Void's most powerful skill. Really good. Usable in many situations. It stops AI combatants from being aggroed on you. It's really good. This is circumstantial. This is like a situational ability. You have to jump off of a high area, and when you do it, you'll ground slam, drop a smoke, and that leads to this. Anytime Void enters smoke, Void becomes tactical camo invis for 2 seconds. So taking smoke grenades on Void is really good because regular smoke grenades work the same way. So if we're thinking about the design here, we've basically got 2 support classes and 2 engage flanking classes. Locus is the first to start the fight typically. That's kind of Locus's strength. Get in, get shit popping off, be the front line because you always have a shield you can rely on to back out and get back into cover. This, Blackbird can give you some intel about what's happening, and, that requires comms with your team. Void's disruptive. It can get on the flank with the invisibility or provide visual cover for your team, right? Glitch, again, lots of mobility, really good at flanking. Glitch is going to be the person that will go to the side and get a weird angle and start messing up the other team. Glitch can get there very quickly, get out very quickly, and move to a new location. So if you think about the balance of what they presented in Alpha, they chose 4 distinctly different archetypes. And these, 2 support, 2 assault, I think it works really well. Unfortunately, you don't see a lot of that in the Alpha. Most people are playing autofill, so you're going to get randoms. Void, Bungie released some stats saying Void was the most picked runner in the game, and that's because the stealth is super powerful. You can just choose to fight or not. Very important in an extraction shooter. I feel like the team comps in this game, especially with Phil on, are kind of silly. You'll get a lot of the same, like Glitch is really popular, Void is really popular. Blackbird's a little more rare, and so is Locus. Let's go to Loadout and see how they did this. Obviously, this is my Loadout. I don't have any gear on right now. That's fine. You don't really need to worry about gear in the same way as you do in other extraction shooters because it's really easy to get like a loner kit. It's really easy to get a basic kit and go in and play. So that's what I will do, and I'll show you guys how that works. So this is my vault. See, I've got plenty of shit that I could take with me. My vault is basically full. So I've got tons of stuff that I can run, but I don't really need to. If I want to, I can choose to run some of these better guns. I can choose to put this backpack on. This is 3 shield slots, the blue shield, so you get 3 pips, similar to Apex in that regard. And I know that I said that this game is not like Apex. It is cosmetically. That's why I'm telling you, because if you look at this and you see, oh, well, 3 blue shield or 3 shield pips is a blue shield in Apex, it's the same here. That's going to be an intentional decision. They will have done that so that it's easier readable for players who've played BRs, who've played extraction shooters. Just kind of be like, oh, okay, I immediately know what that is and I can relate to it. Try not to think of it in a way of like, they're just ripping off this other game and that makes it shallow. They're choosing something that is relatable so that it becomes more intuitive to players. I think that's a better way to think about it. The reason I say that is because there are modifiers on some of these. This one would stop you from taking full damage from specifically AI combatants that are shooting with Volt weapons. This is the same way with ballistic weapons. So there's nuance to it. There are things that vary depending on what type of shield you've equipped. Immediately different from Apex in that regard, because now you can build craft a little bit. So as we're looking at these things, these are the implants. You get 3 of these and 2 cores. There are visual indicators for you on where this goes. It's still confusing. It took me a minute to kind of figure that out. So the orange type of implant always goes in the torso. The red type of implant always goes in the head. That's good. It's not an arbitrary choice. It serves a function. Good choices. Of course, I've got some ammo here. There's different kinds. So these go into the Volt weapons. They're batteries, which is interesting because you can't partially reload a Volt mag. If you hit reload, you'll throw the half-used battery away and then burn a whole reload on just topping off that half or whatever. You could fire 1 shot, reload, and you've thrown a full battery away. So something interesting to consider when using Volt weapons. So running Volt ammo is an interesting choice because the magazines are much deeper because the battery holds more charges based on the gun. The pistol, holds certain charges versus like the precision rifle holds a different amount of charges versus the railgun, which holds a different amount of charges. Interesting there. There's layers to that part. I don't usually like running the Volt weapons because it's alpha. I'm not going to get into experimenting with that. So I usually just run kinetic, which is going to be light or heavy ammo. Heavy, obviously, shooting slower, hitting much harder. Light ammo, shooting much faster, but you're going to use more rounds in general. There's a suite of consumables that sort of mirror to other extraction shooters like Tarkov or the Cycle or what have you. So this is a self-revive kit. If you get downed, you can bring yourself back up. This is like a Phoenix kit in Apex. So this will full heal your shields, full heal your health. It takes a very long time to use. It's like 10 seconds, but it will also cleanse you of any debuffs. Remember, I was saying there's status effects that can get applied to your runner when you're in the game. So you often will need to cleanse a status effect, or you're really fucked. You're just going to burn through all of your heals. This is a health pack that just restores your health. And then these guys are shield packs that restore your shields. These are the bluer, better versions. Fully restores health, restores up to 4 shield slots, which is basically the max right now that we know of in alpha. And then you've got these, which this removes immobilize, overheat, and toxin. So these 3 things are really bad for damage over time, and they can really take you out of a fight. The other things are EMP and hack. If you get hit by EMP and hack, like the glitch arm cannon thing or the Blackbird little tracker drone, this makes it so you can't use your shit, and it makes it so that heals take longer to apply. It's a very bad debuff, so you want to get rid of those too. These are all keys. The green ones go to locked chests. This goes to a very specific location on Dire Marsh. So think like a Tarkov key for a room. That's what this is. We're going to pick a loadout. We're going to go with this, which is the sponsored kit. It's only 300 credits. It comes with 2 guns, ammo, 5 heals, 5 shields, and that's everything you need. Yeah, $300 free $300 loadout, exactly. It's essentially free is what I was getting at. It becomes free if your money goes down too low. So if you're like broke as fuck, it's just free so that you don't have to go in with a knife, right? This says vintage in the background. What that means, and this is really interesting because there's some risk reward here. When you get a vintage item, it increases in value with every successful exfil while it's on you. So I could run this backpack several times and make it worth like $2,000 and then get out. Of course, if I die, it's worth nothing to me, but it's worth all that money to someone else. So that's pretty cool. Oftentimes you'll get vintage loot off of other runners, and that can give you a nice buffer for cash. I need to go make sure I turn in that contract and get a new one. Get this loot box. It gives me a modded Volt Thrower and smoke grenades. Oh, here we go. Nice. You guys get to see this.
Is a high urgency request.
This is corny. I think this is kind of bad narrative delivery. I would almost wish there was no VO on here. Skip it? All right, cool. Yeah, it just doesn't hit for me. I think it's weird the way they chose to do that. It's like they didn't lean into it enough. You know what I mean? It's like they kind of did it, but they should have done less and it would have been better. Like if you think about Tarkov, when you talk to a vendor, you just get a wall of text. And if you read it, it's useful. And you can always go back and read it because they send you a message and it goes into your inbox and you can just read it just like chatting with another player, right? Like you use the same messaging system. So it kind of is a little more immersive. You're like, oh, I'm actually talking to the therapist, right? When you're not, obviously. Now let's look at factions and talk about how this works. This is the long tail pursuit of the game. This is where I had a really big question mark about like whether or not this game would have staying power. I'm just going to show you guys this so you can see contracts first. So we'll go to New Caloric. These are the things that you pick. These are the priority contracts, and the way those work is if you see this number here and this here, I need to complete these priority contracts before I can level up New Caloric to level 3, which improves the rewards I get from them. I'm going to back up. We're going to go to SIAC and look at the upgrades because this is the next tier of thing. So if you look here, I've got SIAC at 4,200. I can't get this for some reason. Here's a UI bug. You can't fucking read what that thing says. Upgrades. So the upgrades, if you look, what these do is upgrade my vault storage capacity. So I got the first one and it gave me +8 rows. That's a lot. That doubled the size of my vault. The next one will give me another +8 rows. But in order to do that, I need to go into a run and get some materials. So I need to get aluminum rods. It tells me where I can get them, which I really like. This is a more casual, friendly entry point into extraction shooters in general. And this is very intentional design. I've heard some, I guess, disapproving opinions about removing the friction and what makes an extraction shooter fun. I think this is a good balance because this extraction shooter, if you think about it, has a very clear focus on console players. This is a Sony first-party game. You got to think about that because Bungie's now owned by Sony, so they want this to succeed on the PlayStation. This is not a PC extraction shooter. It needs to be more approachable. You got to consider everyone's playing on their couch with their controllers. They did a really good job of understanding the target audience for this. If my assumption is correct that they are targeting console players and bringing them into the extraction shooter genre, that's a very bright potential for this game because there are no extraction shooters on consoles. So this could be the extraction shooter that most people are playing that play on consoles. So more of the everyman gamer who has the one console at home. They want to check out a new game. They like PvP. They've heard about extraction shooters, but they don't have a PC, so they can't play, Escape from Tarkov or something else. I think Escape from Tarkov is probably the gold standard of extraction shooters at this point. But anyway, I think that design all works really well together. There's a lot of really nice things that they do to help you understand where you need to get stuff. Very cool. These upgrades are, from what I understand, permanent for the season, and they reset you at the end of the season. We don't know how long seasons are going to be yet, but they're going to follow that Tarkov model of resetting everyone at certain points. Okay, so if we look at some more of these, this upgrade allows me to now buy cores, which are like upgrades for... I went through that whole thing about the different slots on the character sheet. This lets you just buy some. So until you get this upgrade, you can't buy those cores at all. So we're looking at sponsored kits, because I was mentioning that. I bought this, and this means my sponsored kit will now also give me a grenade and a core, which is cool. And they're, of course, random. So there's many different flavors of these upgrades. If you look at this, who knows what the fuck this does? But it's 9 of 18, and I have 9 of these upgrades finished. So I imagine when I do all of this, I can then level the faction up again, and I don't know what happens at that point. New Caloric and Traxxas also have the same. They're different kinds of upgrades. If you want to get the Volt Precision Rifle, you got to get this upgrade. You guys get the point now. This is how I go to the black market to buy shit. So if you look here, we were talking about Cyber Acme, New Caloric, and Traxxas. So these are the things I can buy because of my rep with those factions. One of the other things that's interesting, which I don't know if they'll go back on this. They may not. But you can't just buy shields. So because I unlocked this, if you look at it, it also requires that I have some nanocomposites and carbon wire. So I need to go loot those things, successfully exfil, and then I can buy a green shield. That's kind of a pain in the ass now that I think about it. So I think what that'll do is limit the snowball of like, someone's really good and they got a bunch of shit, so now they have infinite money. Like 40,000 is a lot of credits. A whole kit is only 300 credits. That's what this is, a whole kit. So if you don't buy a sponsored kit and you buy a gun, like look at this. If I buy these two and ammo, I'm already more expensive than a sponsored kit. So the sponsored kit's where you want to go. You pretty much always want to do that. If you extrapolate, you can get more than just a SciAx sponsored kit. I don't know if that's true. I really hope it is true because it'll make the game more compelling. You want to get the sponsored kits from the other guys, get different guns, get different types of offerings in the sponsored kit. Bungie notoriously leans into microtransactions, especially when you consider the entire Destiny franchise. So like, I'm really, really nervous and skeptical about how the microtransaction stuff is going to work in this game. I would be shocked if they don't have microtransactions in it. It is a premium game already. You're going to spend $40 for it. That's what it means. You have to pay to play the game. That makes it premium over free to play. That's the nomenclature that the industry uses. I'm really worried about MTX. I know they're going to lean into that shit. They have to, because that's how they do business. I personally don't think that they need to do it to stay in business, but I just know that that's the type of shit they're probably going to do. 1000% this game is so much more fun with friends. When you're working together, it's sick. Another part of the discourse is you see people saying there's 5 months. This game's been in development for like 6-7 years. They're not going to change shit now. They've already figured out what they want to do. This is more of like, what small things can we change? To their credit, they already released a patch for alpha, disabling mouse aim and nerfing shields. There's a lot of commentary on Marathon out there. There's a lot of negativity. There's some positivity. I think the vast majority of reactions are lukewarm, kind of in the middle, and people are waiting to see, because I don't think enough people got into the alpha to actually play it themselves. And I will say when you play it, it eventually just clicks. First couple hours, it doesn't make sense. You don't quite get it. You have to figure these systems out. When you figure them out, it starts rolling. It starts feeling real good. And I think the thing that frustrates me about the online discourse is that a lot of it is subjective information. People are like, I don't think this is a good game because I wish it was more like Destiny, which is a problem with Destiny players in the Destiny community. This game absolutely should not be more like Destiny. It should be its own thing. And if you guys recall from when we looked at the announcement for the game, I was concerned that the game would not do, it would like do enough to be familiar, but it needed to do new things, if that makes sense. And I think they actually did that. It feels familiar, but it feels like a new game in that same space, if that makes sense. So it's different enough.